Welcome into a little ESPN Louisville Plus edition. I'm Phil Baker. He's Justin Soforo in the Soforo Sex Dungeon. I'm in the Baker Bunker, breaking it down. I love the nod that you just give an improvement whenever I say that now. It's organically like transformed into
it is what it is.
Batcave,
and you just embrace it.
Yep. There's a swing behind the TV and Clay Travis back there. So that is always
Gianluigi Buffon, and it's not Clay Travis, but he does. Now that you say it, he does look a lot like Clay Travis.
He does look like Clay.
Maybe I think Clay Travis is a handsome man. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Outnick the coverage coming up on Sundays during 10 to noon slot on there with Nick Currid as well. By the way, I'm looking there. So did you get the seat cushion from the Facebook Marketplace I sent you?
I did. I got two of them. There's one over there.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So I got them both. As soon as you sent it to me, I DM'd her. And
so for those, we may podcast this too on ESPN Louisville's a podcast center. Like and subscribe on YouTube. ESPN Louisville Plus. He's Justin Soforo. I'm Phil Baker. So there's always these little nooks and crannies of props that we have in the back of the ESPN Louisville Plus set down at Cardinal Town, but some of those, there's gremlins down there. There's a lot of people in the back. There's things. The furniture, chairs, props, Nick's starter jackets, my, extra stuff just goes down there. And Nick had a seat cushion from 2013 and I think 2012. I had some as well. And then Soforo had been looking for some. So I'm never on Marketplace, but somebody sent me something a while back, and I had to relog in, and that was the first thing that I was greeted by was those seat cushions. I was like, oh, Soforo is looking for those, so I'm glad it worked out. Did you have to drive far to get those, or was it relatively close?
It was right across the river. It was. She won't see this, so it's fine. It was an odd couple, and they were like, "Do you want to buy this? You want to buy this stove too?" And I'm like, "No, bro, I don't want the stove. I just came for $15,
seat cushions and a stove."
That's all. That's all I need. I don't need your used stove with cockroaches coming out of it. I don't need any of it. I just need and please stop chain smoking cigarettes next to the product I'm buying. That's all I ask.
Well, so there's a bunch of things that we can get into, and I promise we will. But we've talked about this for a while. But I know we've reached out to some partners, maybe get them on here in a bit as the powers that be are reviewing the thing with show and tell. But maybe there's an opportunity where listeners or viewers can send in their items of nooks and crannies with a little Post-it note as we grow this thing, and we can talk about it for 90 seconds to 120 seconds on the YouTube channel. Speaking of YouTube, like and subscribe on YouTube at ESPN Louisville Plus, as Justin Soforo and Andy and myself tried to do a little bit more on the video sides of things. All right, so for a little bit more of a condensed version, week 0 sneaking up on us. For football, it's talking season. We can dive into everything that comes with that around the games. You got Bobby Petrino and Bill Belichick over in Dublin. So that's coming up. We can talk about jersey patches that being finalized for football and volleyball. The year 5 stuff, I know you heard Nick, Andy, and I talked about it a couple of days ago. Man, it's tough because I understand you got to play the hits and you get the legal jargon on to talk about who can play, who can't play. I got to be honest, man. I know everybody says just let the games get here, but the fatigue, and I know we're not doing strenuous labor here, and sounds like I'm regurgitating what Andy and Drew and others have said, but it's gotten to the point. I don't want to say it's fatigue because I know we got to talk about it, but yeah, I'm just numb to it at this point. And I think it's awesome that, Seth Trimble and U of L basketball's tweeting out things about Seth Trimble at the Donovan Mitchell camp, and it's out there. And I know, Kentucky honks are putting stuff out about the Mitchell stuff, and it's that's cool and everything. But I'm just get to the exhibition games and show me who's actually playing on the team. And I think what'll be very interesting is once you get to week 0 and week 1 of football, it's going to be hard pressed if some teams are playing it for basketball not to be in there. But I know that tone has since changed with the conferences coming out. So I know you haven't had a ton of opportunity to talk about where do you lie on it as a listener and a consumer of ESPN Louisville in terms of just fans of the sport. But do you care about it, or are you just kind of over it?
I love that term that you haven't had the opportunity to talk about it. This is, I've been on pins and needles to talk about the 5 for 5. I'll be honest. As soon as you sent that, as soon as I knew it was going to be a topic because it's been the topic of the week, right? Otherwise we're just fake previewing the season for a team that we don't know half the players in the football team. They're going to run out there and then we'll develop how we feel about them. But when it comes to this rule, I'm in the boat with Andy. I'm in the boat with you. I'm in the boat with Dina. We're in the tub together. That's us. We're all naked, scrubbing each other down. Just getting through. I don't know whatever we want to call this, but I'm just so sick of it. I'm just so over hearing about all these different little rules, all these little loopholes that we're finding, all these other different ways that players can either not be available or be available, even though they've been pros and they're not pros. And now the SEC is shutting it down. And I will say this, though, like that part, it did get me a little aroused. It did get me a little bit more excited. Be like, oh, you mean all the bluster, all the excitement, all the BS that I've been hearing from James Strebel throughout this week since they've added Mark Mitchell and talking about how now they have the better team. But then the possibility, well, maybe old Mark Mitchell won't be able to play, and it's because of you got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to look at you. You were one of those votes that said yes, sir, Greg Sankey. We'll do whatever you say. Like what did blank say? Kiss it right on the pimple, in between the cheeks. That's what. What's his name? Who's the new Blatt or Bat?
Jay Blatt.
Jay
Blatt. J. The letter J. Blatt.
It's Blatt. It's not Bat. Am I wrong? I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care. Prove to me that I need to care. For right now, he was the one that was smooching up. It wasn't old Mitchie Barnhart. It wasn't him doing it. It was Mr. Bat going right on the pimples and right in the look. As now you're gonna probably have to sit back and look at, well, maybe they don't have Mark Mitchell, and maybe your team's not looking as good as you thought it was. So I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna live happily, knowing that this rule may potentially in the rule change in the agreement of the SEC outside of LSU, who abstained from this. The only one, I guess, willing to put up a half-hearted effort to disagree with the status quo of the SEC. I will enjoy that this could potentially sideswipe Kentucky's basketball season. So we'll see. Especially if Seth Trimble's playing.
Well, Jay Batt, B-A-T-T, is who the anonymous police sketch looks like as the new athletic director there. But, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like, look, there's so many different tentacles to it with the Mitchell stuff, obviously the Seth Trimble stuff. It's interesting to me because I know it's been out there. Ross Dellinger put out on Thursday that the report from Ross Dellinger that attorneys in the case have amended their complaint in Kentucky eligibility lawsuit against the NCAA, requesting a judge hold the NCAA in contempt of court following the SEC issue a new policy that impacts the eligibility of 13 athletes, including Missouri to UK transfer Mark Mitchell. The policy in question is to deal with the interconference transfer rules. Mitchell is attempting to transfer from Missouri to Kentucky, but he did not do so during the designated spring window, in part because he believed his eligibility had been exhausted. He recently granted a TRO by the Louisville judge to enter a transfer portal commit to UK, which the SEC wants to shut down, apply harsh penalties if Mitchell suits up for the Wildcats. So Dellinger adds that Ryan Downton, I think an attorney in the case, tells him that his players, he believes the SEC's new policy is draconian penalties that interfere with constitutional right to have access to the court system, and the sanctions may prevent schools from accepting the players onto the roster. So, yeah, I'm over it. Like, I'm kind of to the point now, and as great as it would be with like Seth Trimble, for Kentucky, the rosters look much different, especially with, we can talk about the multiverse and losing London Johnson, and he wouldn't have been able to play apparently with some of the rules that ACC put out because he signed a G League contract. I'm kind of to the point, as awesome as it would be with Seth Trimble, as awesome it would be with, Mark Mitchell being on there. Like, war has happened over the course of college athletics being around there, and that clash just kind of had to be like, you know what, tough bleep. If it would grant some stability, I'm kind of to the point where I'm just like, it sucks. It would make up you're talking about these teams in two different lights, but if it was across the board, which I know it's not going to be with the Big East basically say, hey, come here. I'm kind of
good job though. Good job on them to protect Ricky P. To save
exactly.
Rick Pitino and St. John's.
Rick and Dan Hurley, what do you guys want at this? Is basically what they said.
Well, do we want to have a shot to actually win a national championship this year? And the Big East is protecting their two cash cows right now that they have. The best, like I said, the best that they're going to have for a long time right now. I'm interested to see how that plays out. But Pitino's putting together a squad. But anyway, sorry to
no. I mean, that's all I had right there. I mean, it's like, the ACC in this, and Biscuit actually said something that I thought was interesting because it's easy. I feel like everyone, myself included, it's easy to cast stones at Jim Phillips in the ACC, right? Like they're easy targets because they do have a vibe of they are that, I always say that dense, large mobster in Looney Tunes, and you had the small little mobsters like, yeah, sure thing, boss. Like that's Jim Phillips in the ACC, right? Like they're like, whatever you say, boss. Yeah, Greg, Petiti, sure, yeah, we'll go along with it. Like just to kind of get the blessing from the Dons. And
I hate to do this to my son. Real quick, can I? The analogy that I use that reminds me sometimes is like, well, I mean, but Jim Phillips isn't that good. But like when my son's playing football, he's an offensive lineman, and you're getting
like Kern with Walls in the mentions of your kid in
I know.
practice. I'm enjoying this.
But
I love it. I'm not knocking.
So
I love
much. And I know it's sad, but like I didn't realize, guys, if you're out there and you are a sports dad, I didn't realize how much fun it is to not physically have to put any more effort into this, but to enjoy it through them. To be like, you're gonna do this. You're gonna go out there, and if you don't win, it's your fault. It's your fault. I'm gonna push you. So anyway, no, that's not what I'm gonna do to him. But he no, it's funny because I watch him out there, and because he's very good at his position, he's really being an offensive lineman and just kind of like dominating down there. But it's the effort, and like like there's always that one offensive lineman that's just kind of like I don't know what's the word I want to use. Just kind of like he kind of just lumbers up to the line, kind of like
it's like the kid
floats
from Little
around.
Giants.
Yeah. He's just kind of like
farts right in his face.
Yeah, well, he's just kind of like like looking around and like I'm like everybody else is down and ready and they're just waiting for you. That's kind of him, and that's kind of like what Jim Phillips is. Yeah. It's everybody else. He just has like, even though Jim Phillips doesn't have that ability, or the ACC doesn't have that kind of power or force. It's just funny to watch him. Like he has no idea what's going on. He's just sitting there completely oblivious to the world. But as soon as it's go time, just go, and then he does it, kind of thing. I don't know. There's no foresight. There's no, yeah.
Well, and that's kind of like what ACC, the ACC's been done. But here's the thing. Like, if the ACC was the first of this, and I thought this was a good point by Biscuit. It's like, if the ACC was the first to do this, it would be like, they would be picked apart for that too. But since it's Greg Sankey.
Yeah.
Because because do you think if the ACC did it first, Greg Sankey in the Big Ten would fall in line?
Oh no, hell no.
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of like,
you don't you tell us what to do. We'll do. They may go the opposite direction. They may just say
exactly.
Leave the ACC. We're gonna allow chaos in here. Let chaos to ensue. Real quick, sorry. I'm sorry to keep diverting. I think the one thing to me that like really sticks out is like throughout this entire process this last week, I've been watching James Strebel on Twitter. And just literally, like, after the SEC did all this, and after it was kind of clear and abundant that, like, Mark Mitchell probably is going to have a hard time being able to play for Kentucky this year now because of the SEC, I kept seeing him be like, come on, Jim. Come on, ACC. When are you going to do? Are you just going to be last or whatever? And I'm like, all it reads to me is that you're just like, please find a way for Seth Trimble not to be able to come to Louisville. Like, please.
Yeah.
He's a little scared. He's a little nervous. He's starting to feel maybe all that bluster is about to bite him in the ass once again.
Well, and look, I mean, that's what I think is going to be fascinating with like the Big East Conference allowing this to happen. Like, what does that look like? I mean, there's not going to be a situation where the NCAA doesn't allow. I know we talked about that anonymous quote a while back of saying, somebody on the committee saying if you played these individuals, you could be penalized in your seating and things like that. Like Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley, like really, you're going to penalize them. Really? Yeah. I mean, like, good luck. So, I'm with you. I'm kind of fatigued on it. Now, what's interesting is there's a couple different ways because we talked about it last week and like and subscribe on YouTube as well as on the podcast center at ESPN Louisville on the app or ESPNLouisville.com, the London Johnson component. Now, London Johnson kicked off the team for team and school rules. Look, we don't have to keep going down that road of, what you're hearing, the speculation around that, but it sounds like he wouldn't have been able to play regardless, which I just talk about the ultimate mismanagement of like your career. You had an opportunity to go in last year when Michael Brown was hurt. And whenever you get, like, they tweeted out the video or the picture of his jersey, number 5, sitting on the locker room chair, and you didn't know the offense. and you didn't know, or you wanted to renegotiate the deal or your deal or burn a year of eligibility, whatever it is, and you arrive here. Like, you and your team look like a bunch of buffoons, like, from this, how you manage this, because you didn't get an opportunity to even, like, you had an opportunity to go in, get additional tape. Now you're just a guy who was in a G League for a while. You played in a game and barely looked okay, but nobody got to see, so there's no footage of that. So, yeah, I mean, I just go back to, like, the G League thing. And I'm, quite frankly, with, like, the shrapnel the university and the team and Pat Kelsey and Louisville basketball took for that, it's like, was it really worth it only to arrive here? And the answer is obviously no. But that's interesting. But you have a much different roster now that you do not have London Johnson, or Seth Trimble is kind of up in the air and iffy about that. But I know that's going to be something that people are monitoring from that. But I thought that language was interesting. If you sign a pro contract, I mean, it's cut and dry. You shouldn't be able to play, and that's what felt so bizarre with the London Johnson situation.
Like, London Johnson enjoy going pro in something other than sports, I guess, at this point. And it is pathetic, because, like, we talked about, like, Louisville having their struggles there with their guards in the middle of the season. It's like, okay, is this the time that he can come out and help, and to not do it and not take that moment? And at the same time, I'm looking at Louisville. If you paid him a dime and he's here and you thought it was worth paying him, I'm throwing your ass out in the court. I don't care if you're not ready. Like how unready do you have to be? Because I feel like, I understand. I feel like the game of football is a little bit different, where you've got to learn the system a little bit more. You've really got to adjust. Basketball,
Pat Kelsey runs, especially Pat Kelsey, he runs and shoots threes. How many times have people, like, crushed him? I mean, it's like you're off. And I know it's, again, I know people.
There was no defense either. There's no defense.
I mean,
there's
it was
no
just
physicality.
like,
there's no inside game. It's just, there's no reason that you can't get your ass out there and jack up some threes, just like everybody else is doing. Isaac McNeely.
So, look, I mean, you have that situation with it, but I mean, you got to look at it like, my God, like, to your point about if they paid, and that'll kind of go into what we talk about when, Louisville, for those that missed it, will have a jersey patch for football and volleyball. And as you're asking these companies and businesses for additional money, it's like, this is what it's an impossible task in 2026, and this is how volatile it is. But, there's Cardinal Ventures, Learfield, there's the university itself for season tickets to try to get. And these aren't, these are pretty petty. At Floyd Street Media and all the societies that have been merged into one, my tail would be tucked in between my legs if I was going to a business that I asked money to help pay for a player, and this was the finished product of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you go to these people who are well-off business people, and it's like, this next one's going to hit. And I understand it's in their infancy. And some of this, the Trenton Flowers stuff, it's out of your control on, taking in the human element of what people are going to do. I get that. But going to these individuals and just say, hey, we need I'm just throwing this number out. I don't claim to know any of it, what the numbers are, but we need an extra $500K for this guy that we think can really help our team. And it's like, well, if I'm the business, I'm like, how do I ensure this doesn't happen again? Yeah. And like, do you recoup any of that? Like, that's fascinating to me. I honestly, and I can't believe I'm saying this before Nick Kern's going to say it, the Jeff Walls interview with Diener and Blankenbaker the other day was fantastic insight to how Jeff Walls does it. I don't think that's the same way that Pat Kelsey does it, but he was like, he's like, some people reach out to us. We flew him up here. I had a napkin that we wrote down the details of the contract, and I got that to our legal team. They put it together, and it was fascinating to hear like how all of this comes back. So I think it was on the podcast set, or what's today, Thursday or Friday when we're recording this. This was on Thursday, so it was interesting.
Walls is writing it down on a napkin.
Like, he was basically saying, like, a legal pad napkin.
Like, you got an iPad or something. Come on. Like,
but he was great.
Little Jeff Walls doesn't have a little man. He doesn't have a Louis that he can ring his bell and run over to him and start, like, citing down numbers and all that. There's nobody.
But he got it to his legal team.
Zachy C can't run to him. Jared Stillman back in the day. Yes, sir. Here. What can I do for you? Can I add these numbers up for you? Can I crunch those numbers? We'll get, yes, at your beck and call, sir. You got to have one of those guys, right?
I know. Well, hell, even Curran, he's usually teching. Somebody texts his Jeff Wall shows remotes, but it was fascinating insight.
Rick had a guy to clean up the booth. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I went there around my junior prom, like right around, I think maybe it was at sophomore or junior, I can't remember, but it like coincide at the restaurants right around there. So it's like, was this the booth? Anyways, but no,
you were doing like some long math. Like, did I sit in there? Was it after? Was it before?
I was with my Nokia. I was with my blackjack or Samsung blackjack. I was like, let's take a selfie.
Did I prep the booth for before, or was it after the fact? Or was I sitting? Was I sitting in it anyway?
But it's just fascinating to me because it's like Wall said, if somebody rolls their ankle or something like that and they do it during the team, of course they're going to be compensated. But like I think he alluded to a couple players that didn't finish the season and didn't finish the 2 games. And it's like, no, you didn't get that money like at the end of it. So that's interesting to me too with the London Johnson stuff as they're trying to navigate this and obviously being some of the big spenders in this and, having a roster that quite frankly, they're making like I'm confident saying 2 or 3 guys on this roster are making more than Pat Kelsey. This season, which I mean, good. I mean, that's kind of like, that if you're paying for that to try and pull it off, but it's just an interesting discussion with the G League stuff that's out there that came out and, what they're trying to do.
That's a weird dynamic. I haven't even thought about that. I haven't even thought about now these guys. It's like the NBA. They're making more than the coach. And like
Flory Badunga for sure. I would say Flory Badunga for sure. I would imagine Jackson Shellstat just because like it was kind of like a combo package of that. And then I guess Seth Trimble with what they were doing. But again, that's me just purely speculating on the 3. But it was kind of conveyed to me if somebody would know that. I mean, for sure, Flory Badunga.
It's so weird for the college concept because I'm just so used to like if you're one of the players, you go to Rick Pitino because it's like, this is all I have. Look what I've been able to do with my career and my life. And now it's like, some of these coaches could be like, yeah, that's cute, Pat Kelsey. Here's what I did. Here's what I got now. Here's my house. Yeah. I'm living next to Pat Kelsey. I'm not living in the dorms. I'm going to I'm buying the house next to him. I don't know. I could do that. It's a good investment. Property is great. Right now it's a tough market to sell to get out, but yeah, it's a good investment, Flory. Might think about doing it. Go buy that house next to PK.
Yeah, it's crazy, and then maybe you can be a roommate next to Case and Pryor and his cat in those townhouses that he was in. So he's Justin Soforo. I'm Phil Baker. Be sure to give him a follow on Twitter at Justin Soforo. I have something potted up on there. Hopefully you're not hearing that. That was on my end. I apologize. A pre-roll was playing as I was going to some lines. But we have also Phil _ Baker at ESPN 680 if you are driving around as well. Also want to give a shout out to some of the coverage that we have coming up here. Colts and Lions coming up on Saturday at 12, 7:45 Blue City at Detroit City. Or I'm sorry, that's Louisville City versus Detroit City FC, 7:45 over on 93.9 The Ville. North Carolina and TCU, yes, football via ESPN Radio, and then a little Yankees versus Red Sox coming up as well. Justin, it's almost football season. It's week 0 for some starting up. If you're listening to this, we're recording this on Friday. But, now we're kind of in the talking season or putting a bow on talking season. But as we're talking about all these 5-for-5 guys, and I know we talked about the emotional connection with these players, I think it's imperative, and it's great that they do these luncheons, and it's great that they do some of these social videos from Floyd Street Media to get to know them. But, like, the thing that I felt built the fabric, especially like during the Rick Pitino tenure, and there was transfers in there, but like the guys that endeared Russ Smith, Peyton Siva, Luke Hancock, Gorgie Zhang was the continuity of having those guys here for a while. And then if you're a transfer laden team like football, basketball it's a little bit more difficult to have that emotional connection in some components. So, people are looking at just kind of the stats and just the not even necessarily the stats, but you're just looking at a quarterback, for example, in the Lincoln Kienholz coming from Ohio State, and you're hoping that will translate down to the ACC since he was a backup quarterback at Ohio State, that he would, translate some of that. And he was in a close battle for the Iron Buckeye to get the starting position. And I still don't know a ton about him other than his highlight reel of playing baseball, basketball, and football and some of the, Ohio State scrimmages that were out there of throwing the ball. But as we try to get to know these guys a little bit better, I know I sent you some sound. The Barstool guys, I think of the Brandon Walker show. It wasn't Brandon Walker, but he caught up with Lincoln Kienholz. So we can try to get to know these guys a little bit better. And look, I know we could have the bigger discussion. Should they do this locally? Should they do this on national? I'm okay with these guys doing this on a national scale because it helps enhance the brand of, Louisville. And then, when Brom does Jim Rome or Will Stein does Jim Rome, like, you don't really have to worry about this market in terms of eating and consuming and breathing the sport. It's more so that national brand out there that is you're trying to penetrate that. But here was Lincoln Kienholz on with the Barstool guys talking about some of the expectations he has for the season.
How about for you as a player, realistic expectations in year one as the starting quarterback?
I have super high expectations. I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can do it at a super high level. I feel like I can bring this team a lot of wins. But at the same time, I obviously have some personal goals as well. But, like I just said a little bit ago, I feel like I'm super focused on the team and, what the team has in store and just the team goals in general.
If you want to follow up with the other one too real quick, I think there's another longer one that maybe we could play. But, yeah, I mean, look, nothing earth-shattering there. But, like, as I said, we don't know these guys that well. I think it's interesting when we're trying to, get to know them, hear their voice. I mean, football especially when they have helmets on, it's difficult to try and get everything, figured out in regards to what all the makeup of the team's going to look like. Obviously, it's just different in 2026, and that it's not right, wrong, but there's some people that feel strongly about it. Here's the follow-up. This is a little bit longer of a clip, a follow-up question about Lincoln Kienholz and for playing for Jeff Brom in Louisville football.
Look, you're a wild card. Nobody really knows about you, knows what to expect from you. Sell yourself as a player, as an athlete, as a quarterback. Like, what are you bringing to the table? What can fans expect to see?
Just that dual threat, that I've gained just by playing a lot of sports, being pretty athletic. I feel like I have that in my bag a little bit, to be out there and, still have that pocket presence, be able to throw in the pocket. Make any throw, but at the same time, have some design runs in there, be able to scramble, make plays on the run. I feel like it's just going to add another element that defenses have to prepare for. So I think it's going to be, a great season. I'm super excited for it.
Can I wish they did that loud ass sound.
Oh yeah,
comes blaring in over there. Can I real quick just say, is this guy okay? This guy right here, is he doing all right?
So, dude, that's the Barstool. That's the Barstool in a nutshell, man. Like they are a cast of characters. It's like a whole. There's a reason why Zachy C gravitates toward Barstool. By the way, as you were asking, like, was everything?
He just looks like there's health issues going on. Like his face is like look at me. I'm a big fat dude who whatever. Like I got nobody. I got meat mouth, tongue, all the issues, whatever. That's fine. But he just looks like he's got like a bloody pink overtone in his body, and he looks like he needs help. Somebody help him. What's going on?
That's as I try to tell people around the ESPN Louisville studios, and when we play sound of each other mocking each other all the time. Like you've built a mixtape, you built your brand on being a terrorist, James Black, going back to Cooper and countless others. Yeah, we're a cast of idiots. And I say that in the most endearing way possible. There's a cast of idiots. It's some of it's from the Barstoolian over there, but the thing that makes Barstool work, it's not buttoned up guy in a tuxedo talking to you about sport. It's a guy you'd see it at a bar that's giving takes about, the Third Street defensive.
No, it's a guy laying in a puddle of piss outside the bar. That's who it is. It's
those are your people. Those are your people. Those degenerates. So I pulled in the garage.
I do help out with homeless outreach, District 10, Louisville Metro. Anyway,
it is side hustle. Speaking of homeless, I pull into the garage the other day, and I just see ZC, which I think he's smiling at me. And he has his phone on. I was like, oh, maybe he's listening to Andy. Kudos to him for having his, cell phone service in the garage, which I just lose immediately as soon as I go down there.
Yeah, same.
And Prime Real Estate, Andy's out there, and he's on the air, and it's just him listening to Pardon My Take. And I was just like, oh, I thought he was smiling to see me or something Andy said. No, it was just him listening to Pardon My Take. And then I get upstairs and I see the phone, and I get back on the phone, or I open up my laptop and I see on Twitter, it's like, oh my God, Dolly Parton has passed away, and just the entire, from NBC, ABC, AP, News, CMT, fill in the blank, all these stars coming out talking about, and then it was Zachy C in the middle, sandwiched in between there. The Zachy C College Football Podcast Show is back. Be sure to like it and listen to it. I guess I give you my picks. And I was just like, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about when I say the cast of characters. Lean into that. That is the greatest self-awearness I have ever seen. I
so ambivalent to anything going on around him.
It was great. It's like my college football takes. Dolly Parton. Who? Okay, yeah, that's great. Week 0 is coming up in Dublin. I got to give my over-under on that. And it's great. I was like, and that's what I talk about. When you say, is that guy okay? I was like, those are our people. Those are a cast of characters that I love and enjoy. So I'll get off that diatribe about that. But that was, look, I mean, Lincoln Kienholz didn't say anything earth-shattering there. But, when you hear the dual threat quarterback in a Jeff Brom system, you think what?
I think it's more of, I don't want to say adapting to the times, because we've had dual threat quarterbacks since 2006 plus, before that even kind of thing. But not us. I just mean the college landscape. But Louisville, I feel like maybe a little bit more. It doesn't make me worried. I feel like with Jeff Brom, I would rather see, a traditional pocket passing quarterback, while at the same time I understand how many times did we see things break down last year? How many times did we see things with Miller Moss is making boneheaded decisions? To me, Jeff Brom fits the mold of a quarterback guy who doesn't. I feel like since we've gotten, sorry, let me rephrase that. Since Jeff Brom got here, I feel like we haven't gotten to see just Jeff Brom guy. Does that make sense? Like a quarterback who I view as more traditional.
Maybe I would say outside of Shuck.
Yeah,
I feel like
true.
And maybe that was a little bit more. Yeah, and maybe that was a little bit more contained because of the injuries that was perceived, and they wanted to protect him a little bit more. But
Louisville football's been so run heavy, is what I mean.
Oh, exactly. Right? 100%.
Isaac Brown, we've had great running backs, and I don't want to go away fully from that. But at the same time, I want to see just a bit more, pocket passer, air it out. Give me more of a Tyler Shuck kind of guy. This guy looks a little bit more like Tyler Shuck than Miller Moss did, but I'm interested to see how excitable he is what I'm worried about. Like, is he going to get into one of these big games early on? Is he going to go against SMU and just get scared early on and just take off every single time? And that's what I'm a little bit more concerned about. Is he going to be able to stand in the pocket, take a hit, throw a deep one downfield? That's what I kind of want to. And he looks strong enough. He looks like he's got the build. And this is also part of that we talk about, I think in the comments you were making about the disconnect with these players and the not knowing, and everybody comes in a new outside of Isaac Brown, who likes to sit out a lot and comes back in, and we'll see whatever happens with that and those kind of players. But I feel like you can do that more with football than with basketball. With basketball, it feels like you kind of have to have a little bit more of that insight and that connection, because it's there's 5 players in, 5 players out. You know who they are. Football, it's more about the culture. It's about the atmosphere. It's about a couple faces, usually a running back, usually a quarterback. Everybody else can kind of just fill their roles for the most part.
I agree.
So, and I'm sorry to, like I said, I'm all over the place with a little bit with my thought, but it's just more of kind of something that I had in the back of my mind that I wanted to talk about. But it concerns me because I feel like I should be a little bit more confident in what I'm getting out of him as a first time starter at Louisville.
It's more hope versus actually like having anything. And I mean, the only thing that'll seeing him on the field and like getting first team reps. I mean, like that's the only way you're going to try to change that perception. And I understand why you're probably a little reluctant with, what transpired with the Miller Moss and why didn't he get the starting job at Ohio State? And if you believe the Buckeye faithfuls up there, like what led to that decision with that? But your hope is that the Ryan Day system, everybody wants to go to zero to Joe Burrow, and I'm not going there at all. but
Yeah.
your hope is that there's enough talent in that backup positions that will equate at the ACC. So just interesting, I think, as we try to get to know him, and they're doing a bunch of media over the course of the next week. Jeff Brom's slated to speak Monday in preparation for the game on Sunday. Ole Miss, obviously, we'll have pregame coverage with the Sunday Morning Hangover on game day for that. Maybe some extended coverage out there as well. Now, a couple more things before we get out of here. Soforo. He's Justin Soforo. I'm Phil Baker. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube as well as ESPN Louisville Plus. At Justin Soforo on Twitter. I'm Phil __ Baker. I'm curious, like, we've talked about this for a long time about jersey patches and like who they could potentially be. Well, it's now been announced that LNN, who has the name on the stadium, is just going to join for football and volleyball. Your reaction to that is what?
Good. I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, I guess I'm interested. Maybe what I'm going to take from it is LNN's already on the football stadium. If you want to throw some more money that way and get it on the basketball or get it on the football jerseys, fine. I don't really care as much about volleyball. I think it's good. I'm glad we have. I'm glad. Louisville volleyball is very good.
They play in the Artist, formerly known as the SAC, and that's LNN Arena. So it makes sense why they have that. And I think I was telling you, or I was talking to somebody earlier, it's through the Cardinal Ventures. So the new thing that they're trying to do. So it's separate of the Learfield and the societies that are out there. So that's interesting to me, of like who's running point on this. It's been conveyed to me that it's Cardinal Ventures.
So is the one that. And they only play those special games in the Center then, like when it's like Kentucky or like one of those big time matchups. Remember the whatever cross the four teams that converge together.
The AVCA thing. Yeah, I think that's what Creighton just went up to in Milwaukee last week. I think it's bouncing around to NBA ready arena. So yeah, but God bless him, man.
God bless him for volleyball. God bless him. Yeah, he's I'm sorry, you win, Creighton. You were the greatest fan. Congratulations.
He gets on me. I wore a powder blue shirt, and Biscuit wore one from his other job, and we both got like scolded. And I'm like, I get it's a bit, but I'm like, dude, like, I'm sorry. Red, I'm wearing a red shirt right now, but it's like red just it doesn't look.
I like
good.
that. I like that. By the way, I like that Cardinal Club. I like that. Cardinal Club.
Yeah, like the old one. You like that?
Little. Yeah, that's the OG Simpsonville.
Yeah, before we went, we sold out and got the Louis on there. But no, it's old school, baby. But I think it's interesting because, as you said, how much more exposure, impressions do you need for that when you're on the field, you're on the stadium, you're in the arena, you're on the patch? How much does it coincide with additional?
Did I want diversity? Did I want money from another venture? Like, are they as long as they're getting more money out of this? I don't really care, to be honest, when I say that. And LNN is one that's at least. It's respectable. It's a local tie thing. But I guess personally, I'd rather go the course of something hilarious or either neat and like bourbon, or I guess you can't really do that, probably alcohol.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Sports gambling and alcohol, that's one I know for. I think LSU. I read an article they tried to do with like Caesars, and obviously with New Orleans, the Superdome, the Caesar Superdome down there. And it got shut down. I don't know what that temperature is in 2026. That was a couple of years ago. So that's a great question, because it's like Twin Spires is right there. But how much exposure does Churchill Downs need when the Spires are right there?
Well, I would, just for sentimentality or whatever, I would like a local tie base, or I'd like it just to be hilarious, like a strip club, or like you know what I mean, like RIP Deja Vu, like Deja Vu, Louisville basketball would be hilarious, would be fantastic.
So that's the other chapter in this. It wasn't for Louisville basketball. It's only for football and volleyball. So,
Louisville basketball is a bigger brand. Like you want to separate that to get more money out of it, right?
Well, agreed, but I can't recall. And again, this is us reading the bottom line to Tickers, which is going away. But
it's not going away on EL Plus, even though I don't really put anything on there. It's black.
Stay in there, damn it.
Yeah.
So basically, what was sent to me was my understanding is that the L&N patch is a 1-year stopgap. They didn't have time to finalize a deal with some of the more national suitors, and L&N was willing to do it until they found a long-term partner. Was kind of what was sent to me.
So ineptitude.
No, I don't know. Well, I mean, but I.
So
but
who
I
dropped
think
the ball?
all this, well, I think all this happens.
Lonnie, did you drop the ball? Anyway, go.
I don't think.
We're 39 minutes in. Whoever reviews our stuff ain't gonna get 39 minutes into this. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah. It's like you're lucky if you get 7 minutes in, and that's being generous when we're talking about some of the other nonsense that we were. But that's interesting to me because is it a larger brand? Is it a national brand that somebody sent something to me about? I don't know, but I don't know of other jersey patch that has been out there that has been announced that we've talked about in years past, like the Notre Dame SoFi one. Does that spill over to basketball, football? Is that across all sports for that amount of money? That's interesting to me too. Yeah. And I got to be honest, like when I sent you the photo of what Go Karts put out, it doesn't look terrible. Like I think with the L&N just kind of being the black and then the white, L&N popping. The ones that really stick out to me is like when the companies won't budge on their like jersey patch colors. I remember when the Milwaukee Bucks first had their jersey patch. It was Harley Davidson because I guess they're built in Wisconsin, and it was so their colors are green and cream. And like a light blue, and that was just like a bright orange on there, which it's like you're getting your money's worth because we're talking about it all these years later, but it's just a bizarre situation. So looks like it'll be on there.
You got to find a way to make it like this, seemingly like just seamless with the jersey. Like if you do that, and again, I talked to you before. I'm a Juventus fan. Even though they have it massive and big on the middle of the shirt, I think Jeep is one that does it. Like it's just a classic black and white letter logo. Like if it's nothing, if you don't add different colors, if you just keep it simple, I don't care. But if you put something ugly, if you put whatever, I don't know. Like I mean, there's some stuff. Like I said, again, like the rustic frog would have been hilarious. Like if you could have put that logo on a jersey, I would love stuff like that. Like either you have to go way too far or just keep it as minute as possible.
I'm with you on that. So it's something that I think people are gravitating toward of interest of how much money it's out there. I don't have any of that out there, but I'm curious to see if like during the season, if they will do something for Louisville basketball here in a bit too. He's Justin Soforo. I'm Phil Baker. Before we get out of here, Soforo, anything else that we may have missed that you want to talk about?
Not really. Make sure you tune in Sunday night at 9:30. It's going to be 9:30. And then when I say 9:30, it's going to be 9:45 or 10 because God love her. We love Anna Tarullo here. But if I give her a time, it's going to be 15 to 20 minutes after that. So just whenever we can get her in, whenever we can get her into the virtual studio here on ESPN Louisville Plus. But tune in. We're now dedicated, and you're going to see a lot more content here on ESPN Louisville Plus. Hopefully with some of the people in studio. We're in the works of having some of that come through. We'll see. It may be next year by the time it actually happens. But every Sunday night, I think Anna and I are dedicated to making this happen. You can make your abhorrent comments in the chat while we try to storm through talking about sports. So anyway, but I'm interested in the season. I don't know. Obviously, I'm interested in the season, but when the season starts, it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be hot and heavy quick for the Cards. And it's something where it's just interesting to me because I feel like we kind of know what we have, and which could be good or bad. If I'm excited and somehow Jeff Braun finally pulls off one against SMU by week 3, then I feel like we're cooking with oil. If he does it, then I'm just kind of like, well, it's another fucking wasted season. There we go.
Yeah, look, that's what it is. The narratives will be created whether or not they finalize that fulfillment that many Louisville fans are hoping for, but narratives will be created one way or another by week 3. Now after that, it'll need to try and figure out the terrain in order to get to some of those goals, but narratives for sure will be created.
One final thought, final question topic for you. Have you paid attention? I don't know how interested you are in this in the video game world, but have you paid attention to the leaks of Grand Theft Auto 6 and all that's been happening there?
So my group chat, I'm getting ready. If we can finalize it, I think Saturday we're doing the Elvis Gerback Invitational 23, our fantasy football draft that has gone on since high school.
Wow.
But it's getting everybody on the same page, and time has just been a task. That entire chat has been like, hey, let's coordinate this, but also like the GTA leaks that have been coming out from that. So I've been following some of it, but I got to be honest, like I've been so zoned out. I was like, just tell me when we have a time. I've silenced the group chat because of that.
Oh, I'm I've been excited. You know, it's crazy. This game in Italy playing
somebody?
Right. Well, exactly. This game in Italy playing in the World Cup, I will have gone from being 23 or 24 years old to 40 years old, basically. Well, actually, no, not 40 for this one. I'll be 36 still. But for Italy playing the World Cup, I'll be 40 by the next time they play. But like the amount of time it's taken to develop this game. But then if you watch it and you see the amount of detail, I mean, I remember when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out and the amount of detail they put into that game, I was blown away. Now, if you see the amount of detail, every little thing is like, I feel like interactable. Like where there's like, they have like 1,000. It's really interesting. It looks as real as possible. I'm excited. I say that knowing I've got 3 kids and a wife, so I'll probably never get to play it, but I'm at least excited about the game coming out. It was fun when I was 23 years old and played GTA 5 last time. So
I think this is the perfect dismount right now. He's Justin Soforo. I'm Phil Baker. I will leave you with this. Will Justin and Anna Tarilla play Grand Theft Auto games on a Sunday night EL Plus watch party? Maybe they live stream that. Find out coming up here in the coming weeks. Keep it locked here to your sports leader, ESPN 680 1057, the ESPN Louisville app.
like, subscribe, hit that friggin' bell.